Welcome to Farm Source Seasonal Focus, created as a way to share knowledge and advice on the season ahead. We're vets, agronomists, vendor reps, our team of technical sales reps, and sustainable dairy advisors, but most importantly, fellow farmers, share their insights in an easily digestible way.
Well, we're in our final episode of this season for Farm Source's Seasonal Focus series. This particular first season is all about facial eczema and how you can take a proactive approach. We're joined by a Waikato farmer on the fourth episode who has done just that. Julene Fisher, now you're farming at Ngāhini in the Waikato. Can you tell our viewers and listeners a bit more about the operation size of the farm and, so get a bit of an idea of what you're running?
Oh, well, I only have a small dairy farm, 42 hectares, and we run about 90 cows. It's very simple, because we just like what we do. We have a pedigree Eshire herd, and it's all pretty cruisy, really.
Okay, so we're talking about facial eczema, hence why you're here. What was your sort of first experience with the disease?
It was pretty horrific, really. We got hit really badly when we moved to the Waikato from Tokoroa, which there wasn't much down there. And, lost some cows. It was horrible.
So moving from Tokoroa, you wouldn't have been as familiar with the disease?
No, not at all.
What was the first reaction for you to do when you these cows were dropping?
Well, they weren't actually dropping. They just lose all their hair. All their skin comes off, and then they're unable to move because all their joints are all seized up and their skin cracks. And
be horrible to watch.
Oh, it's awful. It's really awful. And then I decided, I'd start drenching the herd, which is a huge process because you just got to keep mixing stuff and drenching them every few days, and getting all your young stock in. And, it was quite hard on the body, hard on the brain, actually, keeping up with that disease.
Yeah, so that was from that first season. Then where did you go to source that advice that's led you down to Time Capsules and how crucial they are?
I saw an ad, actually, of a lady that farms not far from where I am, and she was on these Time Capsules. So I thought, that must be a really good path to go because it would save me a lot of time. And the fact that I didn't know how they were going to work because you've got a capsule and you wonder how it's going to last a month. But anyway, after the first season with it, I've never looked back. It's really good. You get the carbs in, put the capsule down and happily walk off back to the paddock and forget about them for the time being.
So when do you choose to capsule them? Is it specifically always on a same time around the calendar? Is it at a certain age of the animal?
Pretty much on the time. I actually listen for the crickets. Yeah. Once the crickets start really humming, it's usually getting pretty close to eczema time. And but when I first started, you could only bolus the cows and stock 3 times. But I think now we can do it 4. So I believe.
And it's a month at a time. So that's 4 months that will get you through.
Yes. So if you can sort of hang off with the first one, because eczema now is quite huge in April, May, and capsule them more at that time rather than January.
How are you finding it with particularly like the last winter where it's more warm and and the climate change is changing things in season? It's actually keeping an eye on it all year round now, isn't it, to a point?
No, not really. You worry about spring eczema, but I don't think there's anything we can do about that one. You just get the odd hit with that one, but mainly the facial eczema is from January onwards to about May. Yeah.
And what about some advice that you would clearly give to farmers about educating themselves early on this particular disease?
I don't think it's something they should play around with.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so horrible to see cows suffering with eczema that I just think you should do it. Just do it.
In previous episodes on this particular series, we've covered over the different types of application, and we've discussed time capsules as something that you like to do specifically. What other applications have you tried out of zinc?
Well, manually drenching, you know, which at the end of the day I was covered in more zinc than the cows were. And then I went on to using palm kernel as the transporter for the zinc for the main herd, and then just all the other stock on the farm got zinc boluses, so I needed to care for them once a month. You know, they were covered, completely safe. So,
do you believe that the zinc needs to be maintained at a certain level throughout the year and then upped over those periods?
No, I don't think you need to worry about it from winter onwards. It's just start using it probably Christmas on light doses, and then, you know, working up to where they should be by February.
Oh, it must be so rewarding now to see healthy cattle and from where you've come from.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's not something anybody wants to see, a cow suffering.
Thank you so much for joining us on the final episode of this season for Farm Source's Seasonal Focus. It has been a pleasure to get into the finer details around a debilitating disease that is facial eczema, and of course, lovely way to finish it off from the words of Julene Fisher here, a dairy farmer in the Waikato who has personal experience and come out the other side of it. So well done.
Thanks for watching Farm Source Seasonal Focus. If you want to know more about the content featured in this episode, contact your local technical sales rep or talk to our store staff.